And the child asks, what happened to my daddy? Well, little child, daddy had and read the Holy Bible. Daddy went to church. Daddy lifted weights and had big, big muscles. Daddy stayed sharp. Daddy had pretty gems and diamonds and even wore suits. Daddy got to the money. Daddy was the first black man to gain the trust of his honorable shift supervisor on his modern day plantation. Daddy was funny. Many idolized Daddy. Many even respected Daddy. Daddy bought Mommy many, many gifts and told Mommy he loved her daily. Daddy bought you many, many toys, bought food and clothes for you, and he provided you shelter. Daddy loved you. But Daddy didn't love you enough to sustain and maintain the love he had for you. And out of all of the heavenly and loving existences that are to love out of the universe, Daddy didn't love anything else. Daddy did not love Mommy. Daddy used the sacred word love and the energy surrounding it to deceive, mislead, and manipulate Mommy into accepting the false image of a man he presented so that he could selfishly hold her genuine trust, companionship, and love, to which he did irresponsibly. Daddy failed at being a leader. He led the loving, lovable, trusting, and divine nature of Mommy into embracing an oppressive, slave-like way of life, submitting to unrighteousness, and accepting a position in the universe that disrespected and fell way below her divine essence. Daddy enslaved Mommy. He compressed her mind so that she couldn't detect the fugacious and fabulous fable he erected in her condition of being unaware, uneducated, and uninformed, and so that she wouldn't discover his ignominiousness. Daddy encouraged Mommy's vulnerable being to participate in sodomy and other unnatural sexual acts with him, to which Mommy did due to lack of proper government. Daddy consciously betrayed Mommy, and Daddy consciously hurt Mommy on several occasions. Daddy did the same to other people's mommies and others' mommies' daughters with the ignominious intention of unrighteous self-pleasure. Daddy had a preponderant negative energy housed within him. An enormous body of hate dwelled within Daddy. Daddy was weak. Daddy was a victim of unrighteousness. Daddy had accepted and embraced a position in the universe that fell way below what his being was capable of. Daddy did not even love himself. He consciously poisoned his body, soul, and mind with products designed to accelerate death in the trinity of self. He consciously lied to, warred with, and degraded himself daily. Daddy rejected, blasphemed, and or warred with at least 2/3 of that which love is daily. Daddy preached oppression, practiced obsession, and encouraged possession. Daddy took pride in exerting himself over other men. Daddy was obscurant. He suggested that others destroy and rid themselves of virtuous attributes. Daddy talked down upon and viewed most righteousness as being foolish. Daddy participated in homosexual activities and demonic celebrations. Daddy might have very well been damaged beyond repair. Daddy didn't even know it, but Daddy had sworn himself into an evil realm. Daddy had not identified and was ignorant to the wicked nation he was representing. Daddy created, taught, distributed, and reproduced death in unhealthy, inhumane, fruit and substanceless, evil, ignorant, conscious, and pure negative environments. Hell. It is true that Daddy did have quote unquote good intentions for very few, but the realm he was of rendered the faint light in him insignificant. It is true that daddy merely financially supported you and mommy, and on very few occasions others. But child, daddy's body, soul, and mind never left the evil courts that enabled him to produce the little quote unquote good he did, therefore offsetting his existence to that which it was and ultimately making him one with his world, the ending result of his desires and his destiny. Like every other existence in the creation, daddy had life and love in him, but his weakness and awful decision making caused a disservice to both, and in a physical sense, made them both useless to itself and others. These unmanly and ungodly characteristics of daddy guided him into chronically committing fatal offenses to himself and the universe, and to one day committing a heinous offense against a being of righteousness, love, and peace. An offense against heaven. A fatal violation, which had a fatal reaction. On that day, daddy used the sacred gesture to smile and the sacred arm of power to lure in and overpower a lovely lady. Daddy repeatedly struck an innocent, helpless, peaceful, loving, and lovable young woman in her face with a closed hand until she could no longer effectively resist and defend herself from the hell daddy was inflicting on her. Daddy then raped this young lady, consciously choosing to destroy a spirit, damage a soul, and demoralize a body of heaven, all so he could fornicate under the consent of his king. The strong young woman notified her kingdom of the horror daddy had brought to her, and some body of justice immediately went on a prowl seeking to fulfill justice. One day, daddy was sitting in his car about to return home with you and mommy when somebody approached daddy's car. Daddy had just got off the phone with mommy after telling her another falsehood when somebody pulled out a gun and shot daddy 2 times in his head. Daddy wasn't all daddy appeared to be. And it is true that daddy had been put to death because daddy had been possessed. What happened to my daddy? Now, that's by Big Bezo, man. And if you're wondering, this comes from my files. This is not a poetry. I am a creator. I am a writer. You see all this writing, front and back. I write. This poem was inspired by a pretty sensitive and brutal topic, that being the death penalty, or somebody being put to death justifiably. Now, I indulged in violence and I behold violence. And what I don't think people really think about is the surrounding matters concerning a violent event. This being when the CSI arrives, you know, the disfiguration or the excessive blood at the scene, the howling and pain cries exhibited from the people, the children that have to see this, the wives, the mothers, etc. So here at Our Connection is a Success, we're in the Keep It a Buck department. So I always wondered about children because I used to see men in prison and they used to just get brutalized. And a lot of times the brutalization came by way of their own individual conscious acts that they consciously and knowingly chose to do. And that was the consequence therefrom. So I used to always wonder, like, while I was looking at them in the course of getting their asses kicked or after they just finished getting slaughtered or whatever, if the child can look. And I know a child will probably look and wouldn't understand it due to the personification that the daddy gives to the child. Because a lot of people and parents deceive their children. But if we're going to groom children into respecting justice and law, then it's like if a child was to see that, then it has to be made sense of. So I wrote that as a letter probably to certain children. Probably not so much to them to read when they're early, but even when you're a teenager, because something happened to your daddy got killed or assaulted, or somebody's terrorizing daddy. And like I say, if specifically if your daddy has done something to warrant these type of consequences, that's for you. What happened to my daddy? If you want more poetry, more artistry from School Bizo Qua, like it and share it, man. Tag me in it. Subscribe to the channel. Share the videos, man. Don't be selfish, man. If you enjoyed it, if you took pleasure, if it was touching, if you was moved by it, share it and allow somebody else to be moved the same. Hey, follow me on Instagram at School Bizo Qua. More poetry, more videos on the way. Our connection is success. I'm out here.